Welcome to part 2 of Love, Death, and Robots. Hope you enjoy.
Sucker of Souls.
All right, so that was Sucker of Souls that we just watched. What'd you guys think?
We said something about internet flash animation before, I think.
Yes.
So, like, right off the bat, it was just like them running, and the animation made me think of that. I don't know, maybe it was like some nostalgia stuff from just like remembering, enjoying stuff forever ago.
Yeah.
But like, I was into it from the very beginning just because of the weird, like, low quality. I don't know that it's low quality. Just like it looked like that old school stuff, and it
Yeah, the art style
made me excited.
So it's interesting that you bring that up first, because that was also my first talking point. This is a complete shift in animation from everything else we've seen thus far.
Right. Was computer animated.
Everything else has been 3D, and this is the first 2D thing that we've seen. Now, I'm not for sure if it's hand-drawn versus puppeting or, you know, more computer-generated 2D stuff. Based off of some of the stuff I've seen, I'm going to assume it's probably hand-drawn, just because there's a couple, like, shortcuts I noticed throughout the episode that they took.
Yeah, there's low frame rates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Not smooth motion and stuff.
That's pretty typical with more hand-drawn stuff, because it's pretty difficult to draw every single frame.
Yeah, and it has a very sketchy
look to it. And proportions change throughout.
Yeah.
But
not that there's anything wrong with that. I think
I really enjoyed the animation of this one.
Yeah. 2D can look good in its own right, and even hand-drawn 2D, I have a very healthy respect for it.
Right. It was like somewhere between old school, like almost anime, as far as like the fluidity of the animation and some of the action and stuff, and like a little bit more adult version as far as the look of the characters, not the tone, which was very adult, including a floppy vampire penis.
Equal opportunity.
Yeah, not so much yet. We've had 2 live floppy penises and just 1 dead naked chick. But anyway,
there were boobs in the magazine.
Oh, there were boobs in the magazine. Sorry. But anyway, more of a adult version of some of the newer, like, Cartoon Network animation. Like Steven Universe, like big eyes, very rounded and stuff.
I could see that.
Yeah, but more adult looking.
Yeah.
But similar, like, colors and all that kind of stuff to that.
Definitely adult themed.
Oh yeah, no, it was super adult themed. A lot of swearing and
a little bit more cartoonish.
Yeah,
Western cartoonish.
But really, like, modern Western.
I really appreciated the humor. I feel like we would all enjoy hanging out with that guy.
Yes.
I also like the humor of this episode, and the note I specifically wrote down is that it's comically horrific.
Yeah.
There's like all kinds of like really horrible things happening, but it's done almost in a comical way.
Yeah. Like the I guess
student.
Korean exchange student getting cut in half was like fantastically animated for one thing, and like him like falling apart in layers was great.
Yeah, that was
but
I really enjoyed that too.
Yeah, I noticed you both had a very audible reaction to that.
Yeah, but then like the main mercenary is like, "What the fuck?" and it's like very humorous. They get completely like bucket splashed with blood, and it's very like B horror movie,
like super over the top.
Yeah, but it was very good. It was. It also had like tension of real horror and stuff with them getting chased,
and then they go back into the comedy when he like shoots the kid through the asshole.
Yeah.
Like they very deliberately show it going through the kid's asshole.
Through the kid's asshole. He's like trying to shoot Dracula and is like, Which, do we know that it was Dracula now? Because we just saw a bunch of other vampires at the end.
So that's another note, is he's like, it's not a Dracula, it's the Dracula.
Yeah.
But then it quite literally flips that around completely, because it goes from the Dracula to a Dracula.
Yeah,
when they
bunches.
encounter a room full of like 30 or more.
A cavern full of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like how it ended. Like, they were getting away, everything was cool, and then nope, game over.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And then you're presumed that they just all die.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Well, I mean, it ended with blackout, then
Shrieking.
screaming and guns going off. So pretty sure they're dead.
Yeah. Which is another thing I really like about this series, is because they're short stories, they're completely unafraid to kill off characters.
Yeah, they're heavy-handed with the story too. Like, it gets real fast.
Because they have to.
Right?
It's so
yeah,
short.
yeah. Like 10 minutes, you don't have a lot of time to, like, you know, get people ready for the characters to die. You just got to be like, hey, this is funny, this character's cool, and they're dead.
Yeah, at the longest episode of these is just under 20 minutes. So they have 20 minutes to make you feel something for this character and also
Do
kill them
something to
off.
them.
Yeah, in a way. And then, you know, the thing I like about it is because they're unafraid to kill characters, they do so, but they also don't do so at every single turn.
Right.
Which is one of my criticisms for Game of Thrones, is that I felt like after the first couple seasons of the show, of course,
Yeah.
it felt like every single character was destined to die.
Yeah.
And because of that, you know, they started with this subversive, like, oh, we're not afraid to kill our characters thing. And that's
Yeah.
where everybody liked it. But then it went from that to, we're not afraid to kill our characters, so they kill every single character.
Yeah.
And it became expected.
Right.
And it was more, so like to where they're at now in that show is characters are surviving. And it's like they're surviving these fantastical circumstances because that's the new unexpected, is that, oh, these characters are going to survive.
Yeah.
But I like...
Now they're on their own storyline because they've run out of stuff that George wrote.
Yeah, that's also true.
Like halfway through the last season.
But I like how, because these are all short stories, they can kill people. They can also have people survive.
Yeah.
And each one of those is valid.
But
in
it's
its own
dependent
way.
on the story.
Exactly.
And see, and like that was what I liked more about the books, as far as going back to Game of Thrones, which is actually called Song of Ice and Fire. Game of Thrones is the name of the first book, so fuck the show. But it was more about what would serve the story, and like being sort of realistic about what would happen if, you know, somebody like this went into a battle, or you know, a fucking petulant child became the fucking king of a huge kingdom, and like everybody and their mother saw an opportunity to take the throne from him. You know, like what would really happen? They'd fucking die. And that was more like how it felt in the books versus the show. So, and that's kind of how I'm feeling in these, is like,
it's not unnecessary death. It's death for story's sake.
Yeah, it's death for story's sake, and it's more realistic too. Like, you know, these 3 mercenaries and a fucking archaeologist.
And
like,
a grad student.
Yeah, and a grad student. He's dead in the first like 5 seconds of it. But like stumble into a cavern full of fucking like Dracula level vampires and they already ran out of ammunition for their P90s. Like they have like a few pistols and maybe a shotgun left. No stakes or sunlight or fucking special medallions that fucking
They weren't
they're
prepared to
gonna
kill
die.
vampires in any way, shape, or form.
Exactly. They're gonna eat it, or they're going to be eaten rather. And the same thing with Secret War. You know, these guys, there's not enough of them. They stumble onto the motherload of nests of these ghoul things, and they know they're gonna die.
Yep.
And you know that is like realistic, and it works for the story, and it makes the story epic.
Yeah.
And it makes this story interesting. You know, like so. I feel like they're not killing for the sake of just killing the characters to be edgy. I think it serves the stories pretty well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So
Which is a problem with Game of Thrones, the TV show right now.
Yeah, also agree with that.
It has been for the entirety of the show.
So one of the more humorous elements I made note of is that they show the Dracula penis.
Yeah.
And then they deliberately have the one character come in and fire one shot.
Yeah, just one.
And it's only to shoot his dick off.
Yeah, and like some like weird long like tube thing comes out. I don't know what the fuck that was supposed to be.
Intestine or extended urethra or something.
He had like a tentacle penis that he was holding inside him because like apparently that's a fucking thing for a vampire.
It was like a dog dick. It was just sheathed.
Yeah, it was just sheathed, but it was actually like 4 foot fucking long. But I was also interested because they kept calling that character Gary, and it kind of looked like a chick and had a female voice actor. So I was just wondering.
And then she also makes references about how pussy saved her life more than once.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could say that too, but you know, it was just interesting because it looked like a girl and it talked like a girl, but it wasn't necessarily a girl.
I actually appreciated that.
Subverting the duck.
I appreciated that about this episode is that they don't answer it. They don't even address it. It's just, this is this character.
This is just this character.
And then you're left to...
And he or she or whatever was wearing body armor, so there was
just
no...
like the other male characters.
There was no like sexualization or like, body clue. It was like the body shape or anything. So it was just kind of like, well, they have a female face, female voice actor, but a male name. And there's no other reference to it. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I really appreciated it, and it left me thinking that this was just a more like a butch lesbian character.
Yeah.
But I also...
Or possibly trans.
Yeah. And like that, I like that it's just accepted that this is this character.
There's no reference to it whatsoever other than the drawing and the voice actor.
More media probably needs to do that. You know, you shouldn't make the sexuality of the character be a key point. It should just be that's part of the character.
I think that's the best way to be inclusive is to be inclusive and just like not say anything about it.
Right.
You know, this character
Don't force inclusivity.
Is which something that I saw today was another petition to make Captain Marvel African or black or whatever, however you want to say it, trans gay character in the movies, which I mean would be ridiculous because they've already cast it as a white male or female,
right?
So that's ridiculous. But I mean, unless they were gonna reboot it for some reason, but like to make a big deal out of it,
yeah.
Whereas it should just be like if that's the character, that's who they are,
right?
And you can have story beats about it, like they're, they say something about their girlfriend and it's a girl or whatever, but it's not made a big deal. It's treated the same way as, another character talking about, a male character talking about his wife and his kids. They talk about their girlfriend or wife or whatever.
It's true accepting.
Yeah, true acceptance. Right, and just like write it in as it is part of the story, just like it would be for any other character, but don't be like, yeah, I'm fucking whatever I am, accept it. Don't just like throw it in people's faces because you show acceptance through not, you have a black friend, but you're not like, hey, I have a black friend.
Right.
So I can say these things.
Those are two completely different things.
That's totally different things. You have a friend who happens to be black. You don't talk about it.
Right.
It's just he's your friend.
That's just Bob.
Right. Exactly.
He just happens to be black.
Right.
This is Gary.
Yeah. He happens to used to be a chick.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit. Except for, maybe we had to watch his dogs while he's getting his operation. Whatever. I don't care. I watched his dogs. He gave me $20.
Yeah.
He's my buddy. That's the kind of inclusion that I like, and I feel like it may have intentionally been part of this, and may not have. And then that's another thing is like, if you're gonna notice it and talk about it, then it brings up itself, and it doesn't detract from your art.
Exactly.
Whereas I don't think it detracted from this at all, other than it brought it up for us because we noticed. which like female voice actor more than anything.
I think as a point, I've noticed that becomes, you're essentially dating yourself.
Yeah.
You're dating your art. Because eventually I feel we're going to get to a point where that's all just accepted.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Just as much as like now you could have a
interracial relationship.
Yeah, an
all that
interracial
stuff.
relationship in commercials. And I do see some bigoted people that I know or that other people know that are sharing it or whatever, or that are being put on blast by people that follow such things.
Sure.
That bring it up, that complain about it. But those people are stuck in the past.
Yeah.
You know, a commercial comes on and it's two women taking care of a child. I don't give a shit. What are they selling?
Right.
You know?
It shouldn't be about that.
It's not about that, you know? But some people are still bothered by that shit, and it doesn't bother me. I just thought it was interesting that it was in this and that they didn't address it at all. And it actually is a good thing. Mm-hmm. It just was interesting to me.
So, what did you guys think about the level of gore that's been in a lot of these so far?
I mean, I like watching it.
Yeah,
I feel like it was kind of necessary. Like you're doing a Dracula thing, you gotta have blood.
Yeah. If it's a vampire story, there has to be blood, right? You're not gonna have like a PG-13 thing.
And then like Secret War, they're like in the middle of war, like they're all shooting guns and stuff.
That's also a common thing in like a lot of war movies. Is like it's very gory, and then in horror movies it's very gory. So you put those two things together.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be any blood at all.
Right. So that's kind of one of the things that I helped to like kind of curate these, because I know, Shane, your anime tastes tend to be a little bit more gory, a little bit more adult.
You know, I like Berserk and shit that where people cut each other apart with swords or blow each other apart with guns. Pretty much anything where somebody's getting eviscerated in an animated style, I've probably watched it.
Yeah.
Or at least seen parts of it.
Yeah. And then I know Barry kind of has a healthy appreciation for that as well. At least when it's shown in a tasteful way.
I don't know that it needs to be tasteful.
Yeah. I mean, I also like Kill Bill.
Oh yeah, I don't know how many times I've seen that movie. It's been a long time, but like I used to watch it all the time.
Yeah.
So we're like just short of gore porn guys, apparently.
I guess.
But I did specifically curate a lot of the more gory episodes just for you guys. I thought you guys would
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah. That was one of the things that I wanted to put on your guys' list.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. So while you didn't get as many titties,
that's okay. It's fine. I don't actually mind about that. I just thought it was funny to bring it up, especially because we've had two full frontal male, which I mean, when is Dracula from? Is that like 12th century Romania, something like that? 13th, somewhere around there.
Yeah, give or take, probably.
He was obviously uncut.
Yeah.
couldn't tell with Pearly in the dump, but you know, oh my God, I'm paying way too much attention to these penises you're showing me.
Which I think, out of the ones I've picked, I'm noticing that we have most of the ones that have penises in this section.
Thanks.
Like, I don't think there's a whole lot of penis in the other episodes.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll keep an eye out.
It was definitely something that I was pleasantly surprised? Question mark. As a straight male, I was pleasantly surprised to see penis.
Oh. And I don't... Well, it was played for humor in this one. Again, it was played for humor in this one, not when it was initially seen.
Not when it was initially
because he was
seen.
just like a scary beast.
Yeah, he was just a scary naked man.
Right, but, you know, it was played for humor...
Eventually because they
shot his dick off, which immediately regenerates because
he's a vampire.
He drank a whole fucking kid. So,
which I thought was interesting. A lot of most of his transformation into the more powerful hound-like being wasn't from him drinking. It was just him
like
bathing in the blood.
bathing in the blood.
It was just being in the presence of blood was enough.
Well, he started off like drinking
Yes,
from
very
the kid
much
for
so.
like a long time, so it could have been a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But I also think it's an interesting take on vampires too, right? Because it's like a lot different as far as the look and stuff. Because we've had a few different iterations in our lifetimes, not counting bullshit sparkly vampires. But you know, like the Anne Rice style vampires. We had Lost Boys.
The Blade movies.
Blade vampires, the supernatural vampires, they're all a little bit different, but none of them are as like beastly as this version is.
Yeah, it was a lot more animalistic, but like intelligent animalistic.
Yeah, I mean,
because
it
he
was
laughs when they're shooting at him. And
speaking Romanian, and I would also like to hear or read what exactly he said that whole time.
Yeah,
because I mean, we only got one line translated by the archaeologist. Yeah, so I would be interested in seeing what he said during that whole episode.
I want to know why they put like Viking runes on that tablet. Like, did the Romanians use the same runes?
I don't know.
I don't know my
where
geography
they were
that much, but I think Romania is like all right up there in those like Slavic regions.
Yeah, but Slavic is Eastern European.
Is that different from like Norway and all that?
So you got like Western Europe and like Norway and shit is like the like straight north of that, and then Eastern Europe is like to the east and sort of like down a little bit and in between Western Europe and Asia and Russia.
Okay. I don't know.
I'd have to look at a map.
Yeah.
Is our producer going to look and see how close it is to like Norway and shit?
Well, as an interesting side note, like since we're talking about vampires and like geography and stuff, I watched Blade Trinity, the third Blade movie, and they also go find Dracula in a tomb, but they find him in like the Middle East.
Yes.
Like he's in, I think he might be in Egypt.
Yeah.
They definitely go into like a pyramid tomb.
I think it was Egypt.
In a desert. And I thought that was interesting watching it again recently. I never caught that before, but it's like, oh, he's not in Transylvania or, you know, any
Romania.
of the more European. He's like in the Middle East.
Right.
And that's just where he happens to be.
Yeah. I don't remember if that was supposed to be like a traveling thing, if he was like got caught while he was traveling or something, but
in that movie he was definitely depicted as like a being that traveled the globe and wrecked horrors all over the timeline and stuff.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I couldn't remember their specific version of Dracula.
So it would have been Hungarian runes.
Okay.
Similar to
Viking or like
runes.
Old Norse runes.
Yeah, which are consistently found in Romania.
Okay, there you go. Hungarian runes, similar to Old Norse runes, found in Romania. So that's why
they fact checked everything and it all holds up.
Yeah, that's why they looked.
I like this episode even better now.
Yeah, that's dope.
All right, so all in all, pretty positive, I think.
Yeah, I like that one. That one's probably second.
Yeah.
Behind Secret War?
Yep. Secret War, that one, dump. 3 robots.
Interesting. All right. Well, I think we're ready to move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Shapeshifters.
All right, that was Shapeshifters. What'd you guys think?
All right, dude. Seriously. I'm done with the floppy cocks.
The one thing we can take away from this is
was not played for humor in this one.
Was not played for humor at all.
Not
it was
one bit.
Just nudity because these characters happen to be naked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense for those characters, too.
Yeah.
Because they're fucking werewolves. So when they go to fight other werewolves, it makes sense for them to be naked because you're just going to shred clothes, basically, when you change. So instead of shredding perfectly good clothes, just take them off. Don't even fuck with it. Yeah. I mean, they're also running around barefoot all the time.
I also thought it played into the more animalistic nature of the way they play the werewolves.
Yes. which I don't know. I really like the episode. The one thing I do have against it is, while the textures and most of the actual animation were really good, the like proportions and like the skeletons or the models they put the textures on for the CGI were not very good.
You didn't like the character rigging?
Yeah, it was awkward and not realistic in the human characters. Like you can do whatever the fuck you want with a monster character, even something as recognizable as a werewolf. So that didn't bother me. It was the human characters. The textures were great. The rigging was not great.
So did you not like the human characters at all, or specifically the human characters that were actually werewolves?
No, at all.
Okay.
They all looked awkward and like the uncanny valley was strong because the textures were really good, but the rigging and the models were like really bad, actually.
So something I've noticed on this watch through is we're watching everything in 4K.
Yeah.
I think the first time I watched this was in 1080.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1080, a lot of this stuff looks way better. Just because you don't have the definition to see all of the animation. And the extra definition you get really reveals some of the things that are a little bit more hidden on.
Yeah. Well, usually that comes in with the textures.
True.
Which I haven't really had a problem with any of the textures yet.
Also
on the CG stuff. The awkwardness of the rigging and like some of the motion of the human characters in this would be apparent. I think in 480,
that wouldn't change.
Whatever, if you were plugging in what was it, red, green, and blue, and then in your fucking component HD, component HD, that was a little better than standard def, but. Yeah, like tube TV HD, and what was that? 480? Was it 480?
Probably.
You would still be able to tell that the models were awkward.
Yeah.
But I mean, the animation was pretty smooth, especially on the werewolf characters.
I really liked the werewolves.
Yeah.
That was I feel like they did a really good job. Like just like even with just like the hair, like how their hair was moving and stuff. Like.
Especially on the old Arab, he looked fantastic when he changed.
There was a few times where I was like, "Wow, this looks fucking great."
Yeah,
I really
just during that battle. The rest of it, I didn't. I don't know. I just didn't like looking at it.
The battle was really good. I liked the way they depicted the gore.
Yeah,
the gore was really well done. I also surprisingly really liked the transformations.
Yeah,
I liked how they shed their skin,
right,
and there was a whole mechanic to he had to finish transforming
to
become a werewolf.
Full power werewolf. I don't know what the fuck just happened in my mouth, but full power werewolf. Apparently one of those floppy cocks was in my mouth. But there was you said you liked how they depicted the gore, but there was one thing that they did a few times that I did not like. When they would show something that looked like or that was a wound to the bone, which they showed it a few times where somebody had gotten half their face flesh ripped off.
Yeah.
It looked like a dry rot wound. It didn't look like a fresh flesh ripped off wound.
Yeah.
Do you think that's because they were in an arid, sandy environment?
No, that has nothing to do with it. I mean, that could be their interpretation, but I'm talking gangrene down to the bone where it's actually dry, because there's it's either been cleaned or there's nothing on it, whereas this there would still be blood on it because this was minutes
after
fresh,
it happened.
His friend when he was in the body bag, Sobieski or whatever his name was, when he was in the body bag, yes, it would look like that. But when he comes up minutes after he's been killed, that would still all, have fresh blood on it. And so that, I mean, not to be a stickler about fucking gore, but That in particular, I noticed and I didn't like, but I usually overlook that shit. But since you brought it up.
So I also, in that same vein, I really like how they took note to have the realistic muscle damage when the lead werewolf got his like bicep and tricep just completely torn off.
Yeah, and that arm was completely useless after that.
He
like
didn't
that
use
too.
it anymore.
Yeah.
It was very much just hanging limp.
Right. Which
And-
I've noticed that in a lot of media where unless it specifically has something to do with the story later on, a lot of times they'll have like the hero or a side character or even the villain like put into something where it's like, oh, they just broke their arm, and then they use it later like nothing happened.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like poor writing. It was done pretty well in this.
Yeah.
So I
Which-
appreciated that.
It's easier to do in such a short format.
Right. Yeah.
but
it's not
it
a
was
movie.
still done well.
Right.
Going back to the transformations a little bit, the one thing that really stuck out to me was the hero shot where he like rips his face off and like really fully becomes werewolf.
Yeah. Well, they
Something
both
about
kind of
that.
did that where they like pulled their face off like it was a mask,
Uh-huh.
and then like so they didn't show the full like head morph. The snout was like hinted at before they pulled their like face off, but they pulled their face off and then it was full on wolf head.
Yeah.
You know.
But like specifically with that one hero shot, it was almost like it was a cape hiding the transformation.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty
into
dope.
the snout.
I liked
And,
it.
Like it just reveals, and then it's that snarl of like he's ready to fuck shit up.
Yeah.
I really something about that always sticks out to me every time I've seen this.
Yeah. It was really good.
So you said something about they were running around barefoot. I didn't like that at all. Like,
Interesting. Why?
Like, why are they barefoot?
So they can feel the earth.
I assumed it was
it's a
more
sensory thing.
It was just more to the animalistic. Like I got the impression that they only wore clothes because that was like protocol.
Yeah.
Like they only wore clothes for the other people's sake.
So like, it's
Outside of
not-
like the body armor and stuff that they wore or implied that they wore, I assumed that the only reason they wore clothes was for the rest of society's sake.
But, like, aren't the shoes part of the uniform that they're required to wear? Like, I don't.
Yeah, but I feel
That
also
just
feel
bugged
like
me.
they didn't wear the helmets because it covered their ears. They didn't, wear the glasses because it covered, safety glasses or sunglasses because it covered their eyes. Again, they probably have like a little bit more depth of sense of touch.
Yeah.
So they would also, not wear shoes because they could feel vibrations and stuff.
So like the only real clothes they wore were like modesty clothing.
Yeah.
Pants and a shirt.
And the body
then
armor
the
is
body
actually
armor.
useful because, like we saw, they didn't require silver to kill them. So if they got a headshot or a heart shot,
It
they'd be dead.
presumptually would have killed them. Yeah,
Yeah,
so like the
presumably.
body armor makes sense, but like as far as the actual clothing itself,
Right.
Presumably for modesty's sake.
Yeah.
Because he even like at the very end, after he buries his friend, you see he just leaves his clothes on the hill there
Yeah.
and returns to the wild of the Middle East.
Yeah.
That always left
I
a
didn't-
question mark in my head.
I didn't understand that like at all. Like, why not let them send his body back home?
So that part I was okay with him burying him. The part that I always questioned is
Where they were at the end.
where they were, and because I presume he's just still there.
Yeah.
And why didn't he want to go back home? Why does he just stay there?
Yeah.
Like, presumably, he gets kicked out of the military. Whether or not he
Quits.
was going to leave,
Yeah.
he probably would have been rolled out or,
Yeah.
held accountable for his actions of. Because the general said he wanted the other guy alive, and he obviously had no intentions of capturing him alive.
Yeah.
But I just always found that interesting that he just returns to the wild, but his return to the wild is not his home. It's just the Middle East, wherever they're at.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. And it was also like a wooded area, which, I mean, they were in a very obviously desert area. of the Middle East. So
I assume they're in like an Afghanistan type situation, which there are like more wooded.
There are wooded
sections.
areas there, but it was at least a little ways away from where they started. So interesting, but
I also made note that this is another complete tonal change from everything else we've had. This is a more modern setting.
right.
It's a completely different timeline. And then it's like Middle Eastern, Gulf War,
Yeah.
a lot more modern.
Well,
recent even.
The previous one was modern, but it was also mixed with ancient at the same time.
So
Because it was like, mercenaries with C4 and P90s. So,
True.
I mean, that could
also true.
at least I think P90s probably be mid-90s, early 2000s. So somewhere at least after that.
Yeah. That's a fair point.
And then
But even like those two compared to the rest of the stuff we've seen,
right.
they're both very modern to like could have happened today kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was interesting. You don't see a lot of stuff like this take place in more modern times, I think.
Yeah. I can think of a couple episodes of shows. Like there's an episode of Supernatural that deals with something that like an Afghanistan
really?
Marine brings back with him on accident, like a parasite thing.
Interesting.
But yeah, there's not a lot of supernatural style shit
In a modern
that
warfare
seems to happen in like a Middle East U.S. war kind of setting.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see more of it.
Yeah.
You know. This is another one where I'd play that video game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like that his eyes were glowing. Like, why? Did he have lights inside of his eyes?
Just reflecting.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you see a cat outside and like you can see their eyes even though there's like not really any light around. It's because of the way certain animal, like especially nocturnal predators' eyes are I was going to say designed. The way nocturnal predators' eyes are, they reflect or they gather as much light as possible, and you can like see it.
Yeah, but they still have to be like looking in the right direction so it's reflected towards you. This guy's eyes were just glowing the whole time. And I also don't like. All right, so he's supernatural and he's a werewolf. So but the reason dogs can smell so much better than we can is because they have so much more space for so many more receptors.
Yeah,
And he had a human-sized nose and
But he
could
still
smell
had
them
them.
like.
but he's supernatural.
Yeah, I don't like it. That's
That's a fair
It's not
criticism.
specific to this. That's just a thing that I don't like about like werewolf things.
It's magic.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I could get behind that because it's the biology of how things are configured in the way they are. And when you have a human nose, you should only be able to smell by biology as good as a human can. But the moment he transforms into a werewolf, then he has the biology, the configuration of the dog, and you would think he would be able to. That should be what makes him be able to smell better.
Yeah.
Meh.
The
Just
eyes,
like the
however, I
science
think would be
books,
the same. I think eyes, because he had the same eyes all throughout, pretty much.
Yeah, but
Although
I
he
don't know.
did like morph his eyes at the very beginning. They went from white to like the black with
that was
the orange.
bullshit because that never happened again in the rest of the show. So that was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
So what'd you guys think of the werewolf racism?
I mean, that for sure would be a thing. Like if everybody was like, yeah, werewolves are real, but
okay, sorry.
fuck them because I'm a human. Like
I thought you meant
for
like
sure.
the white marine werewolf versus the Arab werewolf, and I was like, what?
That didn't bother me.
I mean,
I meant
she's just like a bad
specifically
guy.
within the one.
But yeah,
Yeah,
platoon.
it was just the white marine versus the white marine werewolf.
yeah. No, I mean that's it's the same as everything else, right? Something that's different, people aren't gonna like, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least initially. So
I also really appreciated how like there's that whole scene when they're in the mess hall and they're eating. He's like, "I'll rip your arm off and beat you to death with it."
Yeah.
Which is a classic line.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking love that.
Yeah.
But then like he's like, "I'd like to see you try it," and he stands up and tries to front on him, and then
Yeah.
he just gets that low guttural growl. And then you see
Literally
the
shakes the
realization, the guy that's like, "Oh, right."
yeah. Oh shit! I forgot for a second why I was talking shit to you, because you're a fucking werewolf and you could actually rip my arm off and beat me to death with it. I'm gonna go now.
And then I like how towards the end of the show they come back to the he
The
has
same
respect.
sergeant. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like that brothers in arms,
Right.
that
Well,
warrior's respect.
Right, and that sergeant was standing there when he came back from killing, the Arab werewolf, and apparently like his son or grandson that was also a werewolf.
Presumably.
So, and saw that he was injured and what had happened and stuff. I mean, he didn't get details because they didn't talk, but
He could
knew
piece
what
it
was
together,
Up.
yeah.
He knew what was up. So
I mean, you could see how much he had given of himself to go avenge.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
And that was after he'd had some healing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, his arm was mostly back. He just had, like, where he'd been gutted was still, like, open abdomen.
Where he got his fucking lip bit off.
Yeah, that was still
fucked up.
fucked up, yeah.
Within that, the brutality of that fight scene, what'd you guys think of that?
It was awesome.
It was perfect for
I loved
those kind of characters. Werewolves are, I don't think they're depicted to be as brutal as they would be. Because, like, if you've ever seen a dog kill something,
It's not pretty.
no, it's fucking horrifying. Even, like, the cutest fucking nicest dog you've ever seen, if it gets a hold of something that it wants dead or wants to play with, it destroys it.
You know what's funny? They say Pomeranians are the closest DNA related to wolves.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, okay. My mom had a Siberian Husky for a while.
Uh-huh.
They're-
Arguably the closest looking to a wolf.
Yeah, but they actually are, like, very aggressive towards other animals.
Yeah.
They're totally cool with people for the most part, but other animals, they'll just destroy them.
True.
And I saw that dog annihilate so many different animals because she was a outside dog. We had her in a pen and stuff, and because she didn't like, being in the house during the winter because it was hot, because she was a fucking Siberian Husky.
Yeah.
She wanted to be outside.
It's a cold dog.
Yeah. And we lived in the country, and there were a lot of, like, stray cats.
Wildlife of
Yeah.
various
And,
sorts.
yeah,
I'm sure.
I mean, she killed all kinds of different shit. She probably killed like 20 cats or more, and like a couple of ducks, a raccoon, and a couple possums.
whatever is
Yeah,
unfortunate
pretty
enough
much
to enter her
anything.
domain.
Anything that got into where she was, she killed it, and she was never worse for wear. Never got bit, never got scratched, nothing.
Yeah.
She was, crazy brutal. And if you ever see a dog shaking a cat and literally just like snap its neck from shaking it, you know that dogs are brutal. So you get a 8-foot tall biped dog that has, 3-inch razor fucking fangs and, 6-inch talons on the end of its human hands. That should be brutal as fuck, especially in like a fight to the death, So
Right.
I think this got it right as far as that goes. A lot of other stuff is usually just like, somebody got slashed one time or bit or whatever, where they should be like ripped limb from limb, and their throat is gone down to the spine kind of thing. That's how I imagine a werewolf attack actually going.
Yeah, I really appreciated a lot of the realism in this one, especially with the fight scene in that, like, he would like faked his death.
Yeah, that was dope.
And,
I
like,
loved that.
Waited till the guy got close and then pounced on
Yeah,
him.
and the old man was like, "No, it's a trick."
Yeah.
But the kid was like, "No, I'm gonna kill him." And then he's like, "Nope, I'm gonna rip your throat out."
Yep.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic. Just
Especially
playing
'cause,
possum.
like all the like mechanics, and you could see the strategy that was going on, and this guy's like 2v1 fight where he's very outmanned.
Right.
And then like that final kill always gets me every time.
That was crazy.
It was real fucking weird. I was like, is he about to just like swallow this guy whole?
Yeah.
Like, why is he deep throating his face?
He like puts his mouth so he can't open it for one.
Like when he fucking smashed his jaws down and just crushed his skull, I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was really ridiculously cool. Don't think it's at all possible, like, because of the mechanics of having another things
Having
like
your jaw go over top of
over the top of another jaw
creature's
and then like completely crush it, because then like not only are you biting through flesh and stuff, which obviously makes sense, but you're opposing the entire tensile strength of the whole skull, like in the direction where it would be strongest, where the mouth is closed. You've got jaw against jaw with the strength of the teeth and everything, and like you just crush the whole thing somehow. Well, while that doesn't like spread your like basically like dislocate your jaw at the back end somehow. I don't know, but it looked cool as fuck.
It was real fucking cool.
Yeah. There was a lot in this episode where I was like, why? I don't understand. Whatever. Next scene.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that you just kind of have to accept and move on with.
Like, I'll see you in the wild. Is there like a werewolf Valhalla kind of thing? Like what? I don't.
I'd be into that.
I got a very almost Native American kind of feel to them.
Yeah, I could see that, I guess.
Yeah, that too.
Especially at the very end, they kind of play it off with some almost Native American sounding music. There's like a whistle with a flute and some other kind of like tonal stuff that to me came across as like more of that kind of.
Yeah, I feel like that makes more sense.
I think there's actually a movie called Dog Soldiers that is about like, there's actually two, I think, and they're very different. One is about like sort of space marine things, but they get like attacked in a ship by werewolves or something. I don't know. Again, this goes back again to our episode of DQP Does last night, where we were talking about going through the video store and reading the back of every VHS, where you were like, what the fuck is this? Mm-hmm. I distinctly remember there being two very different movies called Dog Soldiers. And one of them was like that. It was like sci-fi plus werewolves in space.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. This was, in the 90s, so
yeah.
There were tons of bullshit movies in the fucking video store.
One of the final points I wanted to touch on here is I liked how this continued the trend of normalizing the sci-fi.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, hey, werewolves are a thing. Everybody knows it.
Yeah, nobody was
This is the
surprised. Right. The only one where there's been 2 out of the 5 episodes we've watched so far, where the thing that was happening was surprising, and that was the dump and
the vampires.
The vampires, because nobody believed that the vampires would be alive
or real
or
for
exist.
that matter.
One didn't think they would be alive. The archaeologists thought they existed but wouldn't be alive. The mercenaries were like, this is fucking stupid, but you're paying us, so we're here.
Right.
And then they were like, oh shit, vampires are real. We're fucked.
Yep.
Yeah. So, just for future reference, if we ever go on any kind of expedition where there could be something supernatural, just go ahead and bring the thing that they're commonly weak to in pop culture.
Just
and
prepare for everything.
Just prepare for everything. We'll prepare for dudes, and we'll also prepare for shrunken head pygmies or whatever.
Like Silver
depending
Bullets
on where
pretty
we're going.
much covers the gamut.
Covers
for
a
the most
lot.
part.
Well, I mean, in movies and TV, it does.
We're gonna end up going on for whatever reason, some archaeologist takes us, and we're like, yeah, dude, we gotta take silver bullets. And then we see a vampire or some shit, and it's like, I don't know why. Like, where did you guys come up with this?
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
But we'll also have bottled water, so we can make running water, so they can't follow us.
So that was one of the things I've recently been watching the Blade trilogy and the Blade movies, and that was one of the things I actually really liked because they took some of those. They're like, some of the stuff you've heard is true. It's like the silver works, staking like through the heart, that works, but like garlic, they're only like mildly allergic to.
And crosses don't do anything.
Crosses don't do shit. Running water doesn't do shit.
Yeah.
So like some of it's true, some of it's not, but I thought that was interesting that they've kind of taken that and like they're like, yeah, some of it, but not all of it. Some of it's just bullshit.
I like the putting holy wafers in their mouth and cutting their head off. I mean, that probably works on most things.
Generally speaking, yeah.
So
most mortal things if you cut its head off.
Cutting their heads off. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll just have like a box of holy wafers.
There you go.
And swords.
Badass swords.
I got some swords.
Need like a legit fucking shamshear.
Badass swords.
Because that's made for cutting heads off.
I have like a Viking sword. We need to get a curved edge blade.
Yeah. No, that's shamshear.
Yeah.
Big one. Or falchion. However the fuck you say that. Falchion. Falchion.
You guys ready for the last episode in this?
Saying shit wrong.
Yeah, sure. What is this one?
We got another one?
This is the last one for our part 1.
Okay, we got one more.
Alternate Histories.
All right, so that was Alternate Histories.
Yes.
Which is probably one of my least favorite ones.
So 5 out of 6 floppy cocks? 4 out of 6.
Yeah, I promise it wasn't intentional.
4 out of 6.
Like watching this through the first time, as I saw maybe like 2 dicks. Watching it through here, I've seen all the dicks. And I didn't realize exactly how many dicks there were.
There was a hard dick in this one, too.
There was a hard dick in this one. However, the dick was still comical.
Oh, yeah.
It was
For
very
sure.
much played for
Well,
comic.
I mean, the whole thing is comedy, so. I appreciate the artistic style, but I wasn't, like, a fan of it in this one.
So that was another talking point I have on, out of the whole anthology, none of them are poorly animated.
Right.
But there are several styles that I personally do not like.
Right.
It's not my taste. This is one of them. I recognize that it is done well.
Yes.
What they did and what they chose to do is done very well.
Yeah.
But I don't care for it.
Yeah, this is like the paper model style, kind of. Not as much so as South Park, but very similar as far as like how it's animated and how it looks.
Yeah, it has that same kind of
Never
paper
been a fan
doll
of
feel.
that.
So, I really wanted this to be like, I don't know, not so silly, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
especially
was
when they were like, "Oh, we're gonna fuck with Hitler's timelines."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, this could be fucking
I think
super dark." And
it's a very cool concept, but it's poorly executed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also kind of like ironic that they chose 2 very serious things that affected the world in such a way, as far as Hitler and the death of Lincoln, right?
mm-hmm.
Which they don't really cover.
They don't cover that one, but those are the 2 subjects that they bring up. But then they treat them in such a silly way, but it still has very serious repercussions, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting, but
and I think it all comes from the concept of like anytime you talk about time travel, there's always somebody that mentions, well, why don't we just go back and kill baby Hitler,
right?
Or go back and kill Hitler.
Yeah, like a lot of times and people would be like, why don't we kill him while he was a sniveling little bitch at art school or whatever?
And that's exactly
literally
what
what
this is.
happens. Yeah,
Which I totally understand the concept, and I think it's a very cool concept to be like, hey, we have this technology that shows you what would happen if we went back and killed Hitler.
but if it was done as well or as seriously as Secret War or Shapeshifters, or even if it was like what was the
Sucker of Souls,
Sucker
the
of
vampire
Souls.
one.
If it was like that, if it was animated like that, but a little bit more serious tone, and we only got like one or two of the different realities, I think that would have been dope.
Yeah.
Maybe just gone out further with
Yeah,
what happens.
just, like,
because they
fleshed
pretty
it out
much
a little bit.
stop at space travel.
Right. Well, and like they're kind of cookie cutter, because it's like, okay, this is how he dies. This is how it affects immediate history after
World War
that.
II, yeah.
Then it is how it affects World War I.
Well, yeah, that too.
Then how it affects World War II. Then who was the first person on the moon.
Yep.
And that's like the order that all of them go in.
Yep.
And the whole thing was silly, and then they're like, oh, and then rats evolve, and then squids, and then the squids on the moon. Like, what the fuck?
That was my favorite one, though.
Yeah, it made me laugh.
Yeah.
I didn't appreciate how it got more and more ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like the first one, like he gets shanked by the Jewish people.
Yeah.
I thought that one was kind of funny. But then it just gets more and more silly and ridiculous. Like the Jello one, I don't care for at all.
Yeah,
That one's ridiculous.
That one just,
Yeah.
it just makes me. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. Very much so.
The meteor one is okay. I actually did appreciate the sending the anti-Nazis back to kill him, but then if you have those,
Yeah.
there's also going to be Nazis that go back to save him.
Yep.
I appreciated that dynamic, and I thought what they did with the time paradox was kind of comical too.
Yeah. I thought it was funny. I mean, we all were laughing at a couple spots, but I definitely think this is probably the weakest one.
yeah.
And I would argue that it's probably the weakest in the entire anthology.
Okay.
So we got the best one and the worst one.
I wouldn't even say you got the best one.
Oh
My
God.
favorite one wasn't in this grouping.
So I'm just not sleeping tonight.
Sorry, buddy. I highly recommend you guys watch the whole anthology.
Wait, so we got the worst one. We also got 4 episodes of Floppy Dicks, and we didn't get the best one. So basically what's happening is Cory doesn't like us.
That's not true.
Yeah, I can see that.
You guys had some of the very good episodes.
Okay.
We've got a lot of evidence,
Yeah.
basically saying you don't like us.
Yeah, or at least that he thinks we like floppy dicks and paper doll animation.
There was only one paper doll animation. I have no argument for floppy dicks.
Okay. All right. Yeah. See, I knew it. You
Which,
had a weird opinion about us.
as we covered earlier, you just need more hard throbbing dicks.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about. I don't need to actually see it throbbing. I mean, that's interesting. We're spending a lot of time on the dick at that point, but maybe just not dicks played for comedic effect.
Yeah,
How about that?
that's fair.
So your favorite dick of the day was werewolf dick.
Yes. Even though that was probably the worst modeled dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
I feel weird.
Some of the other ones weren't very good either.
Yeah, I guess the ones in the last episode were kind of.
But they fit the style.
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel weird saying that I had a favorite dick, but it was for sure the werewolf.
Werewolf was your favorite dick.
All right. Okay.
That's the tagline. Our favorite dick was the werewolf dick.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's a good pull quote for this episode. Totally out of context, but I mean it does have relevance.
All right. So this one we just, all in all, didn't really care for.
I think this
Yeah.
one's definitely. I mean, it's amusing,
Mhm.
but it's definitely the lowest on this particular scale.
I feel like it's amusing
Episodes.
because it's dumb.
Yeah, no, it's definitely silly, and it has no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I complained about the heavy-handedness of the message of the first one of 3 robots, but it had a message.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you were gonna pull any kind of message out of this, it would basically be don't time travel.
Yeah.
But that's fucking stupid.
Right. Yeah.
It's a stupid message.
Yeah. So I'm really glad that we ended on this one, because this is how I had to end the anthology.
Oof.
Was with this episode. So I had front loaded with all the good episodes.
Yeah.
And as Russell told me earlier, apparently they set it up in your Netflix queue based off of your watching preferences, which I
based
think
off their algorithm.
Yeah, which I think is a little weird. I think it should just, you should just have an order presented by the director or whoever put the anthology together, so you have a good flow between episodes.
Well, okay, so since it's not actually connected by a common thread or anything,
Sure.
I think it makes a lot of sense. But maybe if they were going to do that, possibly put the percentages on there, so then it's like, okay, look, this is only a 30%. Maybe don't watch it. Like, if you want to watch it just to finish it out, cool.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you're probably not going to like it.
So, yeah, my problem with that is it assumes if you're front loading with all the good stuff,
Yeah.
and you don't tell people that you're doing that, because my assumption is that they're going to watch the whole series.
Right.
That should be the assumption, that they're going to watch the whole anthology all the way through.
Yeah.
But when you pick and choose and front load all the stuff that they're going to like, you assume that they're only going to watch the first few and then stop.
Yeah.
Which might be the reality.
So what you're saying is to do like a time-honored tradition that has sadly fallen by the wayside, is to set it up like an album.
Yes.
So you hit them with a good one to start.
Yes.
You lull them a little bit after that.
Have your rise and your fall.
Yeah, you have another good one, the best one maybe, or second best one, or maybe the best one, but maybe not the most meaningful, and then you fall a little bit, and then you have a really meaningful or a really good one at the end.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's how it should have been put together that way. And I also recognize that different people are going to resonate with different episodes.
Yeah.
But I think across the board, there's some episodes that are, way better.
Yeah.
By far than others.
That would be very interesting, actually, to do that with the algorithm, though. So then do what they did, but set it up differently, right? So set it up
it's
like
not
we
front
just
loaded.
Yeah,
so it's
set
more
it
balanced.
up. Yeah, set it up like we just said, like like a movie. You have your beginning gets you into it, then it has some interesting things, but maybe not the best. Then you have the climax, the fall, and then the message.
Yeah.
So, you have maybe your second or third highest preference or a percentage match at the beginning, your highest percentage in just past the halfway point, and then maybe your second or third, whichever you didn't use as
At
your
the
last
end.
one.
Yeah. So you
and
end on
then
a high note.
connect them with logarithmic lines, basically, and then that gives you your order. You've got your two low spots, and then you climb up to and gradually fall off and gradually climb back up to your high spots.
Yeah. I think it would have been better that way. However, even within their algorithmic whatever organizing them, I had two different load orders within my own Netflix.
Yeah.
So Netflix has started doing ads and stuff. So their own original content is headlined as a big box.
Right.
If you scroll through some of them. So
I'm using a really old TV, so it doesn't have that shit.
Oh, okay. Mine does. As you scroll through it, it has a section of that's only Netflix original content, and it's not played out and listed like the rest of it.
Right.
It's done as big boxes.
Yeah, I've seen it on there on
yeah.
Russell's TV.
So it's done out like
or
that.
Nathan's, whatever.
And on mine, when it had Love, Death, and Robots, it started with Sunny's Edge on that one, which is an episode that's not in our grouping here. We didn't watch it.
Right.
But it is an episode that I did really like.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that it did show me that first. But then when I scrolled down later and found the show later, it
in
started
the regular
the regular listings. It started with Beyond the Aquila Rift, which is probably my favorite episode.
Okay.
So it's interesting that they showed me probably my two favorite episodes out of the whole anthology.
I'm assuming that's a space episode.
Yes.
Okay.
Both of them are kind of spacey.
What was the title of the other one?
Sunny's Edge.
Yeah, sort of. Okay.
I'm saying the
guessing by
episodes are kind of spacey.
No, just guessing by the titles.
Yeah.
The
Beyond
other
the
one,
Aquila Rift is very much space.
Yeah, like sounds very spacey.
Yeah. Which we didn't get a lot of in these, but some of the others are more space sci-fi themed. But I really liked the whole anthology as a whole. This is my third or fourth time watching through some of these episodes.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I watched this series, I literally binge watched it in every sense of the word. I watched the first episode. I was like, this is amazing. I love this. And then I watched the next episode, and I'm like, oh, my God. And then I sat and watched through the whole thing in the matter of like a day and a half, and then told my wife about it, Sarah, and we immediately started watching the show over again because I started showing her my favorite episodes, and we went through the entire series again.
Yeah.
Which is a testament to how good this series is, because I literally watched it twice back to back.
Yeah.
And I think it's the only piece of media that I've ever done that with. It's the only, maybe not media, but the only like television show, movie that I have watched back to back immediately after I watched it the first time.
I've done that with a few different things. More or less out of boredom, though, most of the time.
Really? So I think that's just really a testament to like how good this whole series is.
Right.
Like, I've never done that before with anything that I can think of.
Yeah.
And like, I can't get over how good this show is.
I could watch a couple of these episodes again right now, but
Yeah.
I
I highly
have work in the morning,
recommend
so I'm not going to.
that you both watch it through.
Yeah.
Not necessarily tonight.
Yeah,
I for sure will watch it.
Yeah. And like, a lot of people that like Sarah, she probably didn't think she would like it to begin with, but I showed her a couple key episodes,
Right.
and then she's like, well, yeah, let's just keep going.
Right.
And, you know, she recognized that not every episode was a winner.
Right.
You know, she didn't like every single one, but there was several that she was like, yes, this thing.
Yeah.
This is the pinnacle of what I like.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's going to have at least one episode within this anthology that it's going to be that for them.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah, I mean, like, you kind of, the Secret War was definitely, like, right up my alley as far as shit that I like to watch.
Yeah.
So
I fully expect that to be like one of the first at least 3 or 4 on mine.
Yeah.
But like Abby, it would probably be the last one on hers. You know, like
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see. Like I'm gonna watch through on mine,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm gonna get on her profile and see how it sets it up for her.
yeah.
Yeah, you should definitely do that. I'd be interested in hearing about how that works out. So all in all, what'd you guys think? Did I do a good job? Did I pick some good episodes aside from all the floppy penis?
No, I really liked,
Say you really liked floppy penis.
no, I really liked,
You really like the
most
werewolf
of these. I really liked most of these. 3 Robots and Alternate Histories were definitely the weakest. Alternate Histories being the weakest of all of them. I feel like if I watched the rest of them right now, Secret War would probably still be my favorite one. Just because that was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So
That being said, you haven't seen any of them, so
right, yeah.
have no
I'm
idea
just
of
saying,
what's
like
yet to
right
come.
now, I'm just like, you know, prejudging, I guess.
yeah.
I would say that would probably still be my favorite just because of how much I liked it. And I mean, that may not be accurate, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
No, it was definitely one of my top 5 ones.
Yeah.
But so was 3 Robots, so it's interesting to me that you guys didn't care for that one as much.
I really like 3 Robots.
Yeah?
I thought I fucking loved 3 Robots until we saw Secret War.
Secret War.
Like I was like 3 Robots is like 8 out of 10. But then like I can't give Secret War a 12. Like
According to Nathan, you can give it a 10 plus.
I don't know.
So I guess all in all, what would you guys rate this? So on my show here, we don't necessarily give numbers. We more just rate, like, would you recommend this? Like a buy, rent, subscribe kind of system, where would you
Um,
rate it on that scale?
Chances are you already have Netflix, so go ahead and fucking watch it. If you don't like swearing or floppy penis or paper model titties and like apparently like a alien or other dimensional sexual being that is frigging themselves off while they're fucking Hitler, don't watch it. But
Most of that's just one episode.
that
Yeah,
particular part was just one episode, but
Just don't watch alternate history.
yeah, just don't watch alternate histories. But if you like kind of sci-fi mixed with other genres or supernatural shit mixed with other genres,
Or specifically short
or specifically
storytelling.
short story format, you'll be super into this. I love sci-fi stuff. I love supernatural stuff. I also love like war stuff. So like the ones that you picked were like super great for me for the most part. So
Like I said, I tried to.
I would
curate-
definitely recommend watching at least the episodes that we watched. I can't speak for everything else, but
what we watched here today.
what we watched here today, at least 5 of the 6 episodes were fantastic.
Barry?
I really liked most of it. Don't watch alternate histories. I feel like I would have enjoyed tonight a lot more if I didn't waste my time with that episode.
Especially like ending on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of like, and that's why I say I'm glad that you guys had to experience it the same way, just because misery loves company.
See, he fucking doesn't like us. I
Yeah.
told you.
I mean, we already
He's
figured
just
it out.
like-
He's just like
Yeah,
reconfirming it.
I saved the fucking shitty episode for last because that's how it happened to me, you fucking assholes.
I didn't save it; it just worked out that way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know anybody that doesn't have Netflix, so go check it out.
Yeah.
I mean, you're already gonna
Yeah.
be watching something anyways.
Yeah,
that's true.
don't watch The Office or Parks and Rec for the 700th time right now, because these are really short, so you can pound through it in a couple days of binge watching.
Yeah.
You know, less than a weekend, and then you can get back to your regularly scheduled repeating of early 2000s fantastic sitcoms.
So I guess for my rating, if you don't already have Netflix, this is one anthology that I would recommend subscribing to Netflix just to watch this.
Like
That
even
is
just
how
like
adamant that I like this.
just get your trial
Yeah.
and then cancel it.
Yeah.
Just so
Even
you
Yeah,
if you
I mean-
only do it just to watch the show, that's how much I recommend this anthology.
How long is the trial? How long is the trial?
Let's assume it's 7 days.
7 days? That's not enough because you can't watch all of Supernatural in 7 days.
We're not talking about Supernatural.
So, oh, well, I mean, if you're getting it just for fucking Love, Death, and Robots, you might as well watch Supernatural too.
While you're at it.
Yeah.
But that's how much I
14
like
fucking
this show.
seasons, baby.
I really, really, really love this fucking anthology. And not even, like, I like the episodes that we watched, but, like, some of my favorite ones aren't even in this grouping. And some of my favorite ones are yet to come. So you two should specifically watch the rest of it.
Yeah, I'm interested. You've piqued my curiosity because like I had no idea what it was about, and you guys have like talked a little bit about it a few times, but actually watching some of it, and some of it was really fantastic. Some of it was good, but a couple of them were fantastic, and I would really be interested to see if there's anything else of that quality in there. I mean, I know that you say there is, but I'm just, we have different tastes. So,
Sure, absolutely.
So, I might be like, it was okay, but the 2 episodes that I really fucking liked that we just watched, I already watched. So
Yeah.
the rest of it I could take it or leave it. But there could be an episode in there that I
Could
like
be
even
another
more.
fantastic one.
Yeah.
Some of the other ones, I will admit, get a little bit more metaphysical, a little bit more.
I'm into that shit too.
A little bit more like
Cerebral.
cerebral, like make you think kind of
Mhm.
episodes.
That's cool.
A lot of the ones, like I said, I curated for you guys were the more gory, the more war torn kind of stuff.
So we like
um,
floppy dicks and we're stupid.
I didn't say
Yeah.
you were stupid.
I don't know if we
Damn
can
it.
hang out with Cory anymore.
I love you guys. This isn't what I'm trying to do here.
You're insulting us through your curation, okay?
God damn it. Love you
Okay,
guys.
so like, there's been so many times where people are like, "Hey Barry, watch this. You're gonna love it." And then I sit down to watch it, and I'm like, "I don't like this at all.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me Will Ferrell was in it?" And I would have said no.
Lucky for you, Will Ferrell's not in any of these. But did you think I did a decent job at least?
Yeah, I'm
Even if I got lucky?
very pleasantly surprised that I enjoyed almost all of this.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed 3 episodes. Kind of liked another one, and then the other 2 were amusing but not great. So,
Fair enough.
I mean, that's a good percentage.
Yeah. And like really for me, if I could walk away, if you guys had like one episode that you absolutely were like crazy about, that's a win in my book. Because like I fully recognize not everything in this is gold.
Yeah.
Some of it's awful.
Oh, yeah.
Alternate Histories is easily probably the worst one.
Yeah.
Just
I mean, just
big pile of dookie.
yeah, just watch Secret War. I mean,
A second time.
yeah. I mean, like, no, I'm just saying, like, if I was gonna recommend just like one thing, it would be Secret War.
Yeah.
Because it was so good, and it was beautiful. Like, I mean,
Looks
we've
real
talked
good.
a little bit about the. Well, I mean, occasionally we talked a lot about the animation, but like the animation in that one was so good.
Yeah.
It was just great. Like everything about that, I liked a lot. So
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you guys enjoyed yourselves. Hopefully the next 2 parts go just as good. Hopefully my guests liked what I picked for them.
you wasted all the good shit on us.
I wasted some of the good shit.
Yep.
You guys got 2 of my top 5 episodes. How's that
And we
feel?
didn't even like one of them.
Yeah, you didn't like. Well, Barry liked
Barry,
one of them.
I liked it, but not nearly as much as the 3 that I would put above that.
Sure.
Or 4, I guess. I would put 4 of them above that, and then alternate history like somewhere.
I feel like 3 Robots might be my second favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, meh. It was funny, but like I didn't really care for it.
It was like, it was silly, but it was dark at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I liked it.
See, like I really like that kind of humor and everything, and I like the idea behind it, but I didn't like that there wasn't like a story. That just killed it for me.
Yeah, I get that.
That's a fair criticism, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's basically my biggest problem with it.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
All right. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming on, watching some cartoons with me.
oh yeah, we're gonna watch a lot of cartoons together at some point.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, you're gonna have to be on DQB Does for at least one. And then I hope to be on here when we do some of my old school classic favorites.
Yeah. I'm hoping to go back and do some Berserk stuff with you,
Ooh.
since we sat and watched through all of that
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I definitely appreciate you guys coming on. I had a lot of fun. I'm glad you guys did too.
Yep.
And I just want to thank everybody for listening. Join us on this fun little ride. And that's all, folks.